Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Very capable of having a winning season, going to bowl games, and so forth. Mark Stoops, I think, has done an excellent job there, and they're very close to being a winning team, and very easily could be this year.
We got several guys that have started for them that are listed as backups. They just got a lot of guys that have played a lot of ball, and with that comes confidence. And then you get on a run like they're on, we're going to have to show up and really play to the level that we're capable of playing. They have our full attention.
Dan, good evening, everyone. Welcome into Sports Talk on this Talking Tuesday. Steve Spurrier, Dabo Sweeney, among those doing the talking today, and we'll be joining in.
Phil Kornbluth with you from Seawells across from the fairgrounds
in Columbia here for the Sterling Sharp event that Clyde Wren is putting on tonight. Sterling Sharp, the former USC All-American, former NFL star, College Football Hall of Famer, has been in Columbia today, making several visits, and he is with Clyde tonight as a fundraising event, and he'll be
here to talk to the crowd and
here to talk autographs and get up and close and personal with folks. And of course, they got a memorabilia to be auctioned off here tonight. A typical Clyde Wren production, which is always a lot of fun. And we appreciate him inviting us to come out and do sports talk. Part of this may or may not have with us tonight. Don't know. He's running late, which is kind of typical for these things, and they may have to rush him inside. But we'll see. If we get him, we get him. If not, we'll say thanks for the memories. Back at our studio in downtown Columbia, it's Kevin McCrary and the Professor Tom Hayes. K-Mac went up the hill to Clemson for another wonderful day with the Tigers.
Yes, I love making it up the mountain where they yawn their greatness, and Dabo Sweeney talks for 40 minutes every Tuesday about a variety of topics. Today he was talking about how good Appalachian State is and what a challenge the Tigers are going to have and how they are not looking past the Mountaineers ahead to their short week turnaround Thursday night ACC opener at Louisville a week from Thursday.
Yeah. By my count, that's one game in two news conferences we've covered at Clemson this year.
Yes, yeah, we roll up there from time to time periodically to cover Clemson a time or two.
Well, is Sports Talk part of the Clemson South Carolina Challenge? Or what we're keeping a score?
That's just an inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not really inside. I put up a blog post about certain media members, and media in air quotes, fanboys are now media members that don't understand really cover every Clemson practice and make the 5-hour commute and skip the show. Well, I guess we could. We could just not do. We could have dead air and go up there and cheerlead with certain media members at Clemson, but no, I think we'll do our jobs back here the way we've been doing it.
All right, our job tonight is to bring you as much stuff in as a short amount of time as possible. We've got a bunch of stuff for you. Steve Spurrier, Dabo Sweeney, Chip Wild will be here from Darlington. Rich Taylor's got some news on a major recruit here in the Columbia area. He'll join us to share that with us as well. And we'll be back. Take some calls, 800-956-7266. Dial us up. Back in a moment. Now, I was having to listen to the Auburn-Louisville game, and let's see. Auburn had the ball, right? And Louisville had one timeout, and they were right. PA. Clock would be stopped until the snap. At the the clock was going to start. What you doing, Coach? How you doing? Oh, well, thank you about that. You know, you used to contribute mightily to that column back in the day.
This is Jennifer Springer.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Yes, sir. You used to give me, I remember the time. Oh, my gosh.
Terry, how are you? I'm doing great. This is Jennifer Springer.
KT's in the house.
Thank you for your help. Thank you for your help. What's up, my man?
How you doing? Everything all right? Yeah, we missed you. Missed you Sunday.
I know it, man. You know, my sister's been sick. I just got back yesterday.
She okay?
Yeah, she's hanging in there.
Good.
She's hanging in there. You make my day on Monday.
Good.
Read about what's going on.
Well, listen, you have forgotten more about recruiting than I'll ever know.
That's right.
Ain't that right? Ain't that right?
He can recruit anybody. He can recruit somebody to face.
I called him one time at 2 o'clock in the morning. He was on the road in Utah, driving in. He told me he was driving All right, it's Sports Talk tonight on a Talking Tuesday from Seawells in Columbia. Newly remodeled Seawells. This place is beautiful to begin with. It's nicer now as they remodeled the building from the fairgrounds here in Columbia. Ken and the professor, downtown Columbia. Main Street Studios, 800-956-7266, the number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at sportstalksc. The website is sportstalksc.com, and on Facebook, it is Sports Talk Radio Network. Coming up at the hour, Steve Spurrier, top of hour number two. We'll hear from Mike Morgan. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney. In between, we'll have Dave Shelton with us to talk a little high school football. Rich Taylor, who covers high school sports in the Midlands and does some recruiting work as well. He's got a story on Stephen Davis Jr. It's kind of interesting, and he'll tell us about that in the second half hour. And we'll have a complete recruiting report for you as well. So a bunch of stuff coming your way. Plus Chip Wild, president of Donington. I'm assuming they've gotten everybody out of the parking lot now. And he'll join us at his normal slot at 7:30. So a very busy show. If you want to jump on board, now would be a great time to grab a phone line, 800-956-7266. From Spurrier today, not a whole lot of news. Most of the news was pretty good. The walking wounded in the North Carolina game, the three that they were most concerned about, they're healthy. Mitch are relatively healthy. They were going to practice today. So that was good news. Debo Samuels was going to practice today. They have moved Jabari Smith from defensive receiver to give them another body over there, since they had a couple of guys go down with injuries in camp. Of course, on Saturday, Walter went down with a broken ankle. And don't forget that Clayton Stadnick is still there, and they'll move him back to center. He'll be a light center. He's only about 235 pounds. And they can still use him there, but they also have as the backup center now the freshman. Zach Bailey, and he'll be prepared as a backup center as well as a guard. Some of the folks are starting to steer. Saw Ray Tanner in the house, USC athletic director. Kerry Tharp from NASCAR fame and formerly USC here as well tonight. Good to see Kerry. So some of the important folks are starting to show up here at Seawells. Hey, Mac, key news items from Clemson today would be what?
Major news, really none coming out of the Wofford game. On the injury front, they're in pretty good shape there. Ryan Norton will be back this week. In fact, everybody that was dinged up in any capacity in that game will be back for the Appalachian State game, with the exception, of course, of Mike Williams, the wide receiver, who is out indefinitely with a small fracture in his neck with that scary hit with the goalpost that he took. I actually asked Dabo, I know it was a freak thing, and you just chalk it up to that, but if there was any discussion or look about if adding padding or changing the location of that goalpost, and he said no, not right now. That it was they're just chalking it up to a very freak play. It was just a typical football play, first drive of the season, and Clemson loses one of their top offensive weapons. But that was really the only down note in that game for the Tigers. Everything else went according to plan.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. 800-956-266. Clemson getting ready for Appalachian State. And Dabo gives them full respect. This is a team that has a bunch of starters back from last year's team that finished the year with 6 straight wins. Now it's a 7-game winning streak after they dispatched Howard 49-0, 663 yards. And their quarterback, as we've mentioned before, Taylor Lamb, very, very good quarterback, the son of Bobby Lamb. So you know he's got quarterback in his blood, and he won't be intimidated by any means by what he's going to be facing at Death Valley. But the Clemson defense, which is forming and very fast and very athletic and just overwhelmed Wofford, they could try and do the same thing against Appalachian State.
And, you know, the key point, though, still, whether they swarm or not, they're still a young defense. And I think the best defense for Clemson right now is to score early, because if you start to score and have 2-3 score lead, then the opposition has to tear pages out of their game plan. And that's what you want to do early and often if you can, is to take the opponent out of their game plan.
Back with you guys after dropping there for a moment. Yeah, you're exactly right. If Clemson gets the early lead on you, you're in a lot of trouble because you don't want to get into a track meet with this Clemson offense. I do guys that will see more of Clemson's offense than what we saw against Wofford. The Tigers ran a lot of the bubble screen, which was very easy for them to execute against Wofford. K-Mac Appalachian State will play much more press man, try and break that thing up if they can. But then again, that will leave them susceptible to the big pass down the field with some speedy receivers getting behind those corners.
Yeah, they're going to come after Clemson a lot more than Wofford did, and they'll send more than Clemson can block and try to get a little heat on Deshaun Watson. A completely different game plan for Clemson this week than a week ago against Wofford, and they handled that test very well. Brent Venables said it was great that they had the extra time to prepare for Wofford. They don't get that luxury this week, obviously, with Appalachian State, and they'll have even less time to prepare for Louisville, and that's why a lot of people were asking today, are you planning this game? Are you planning for 2 teams? And they say, now you can believe this or not, but every Clemson coach and player today said they are not chalking up the Appalachian State game as a W. They've won 7 straight games going back to last season. They're a Division I team in the Sun Belt. They're not expecting to go out there and just roll over Appalachian State. So they're not sitting there, at least they're saying they're not sitting there peeking ahead at all to Louisville this week. It is all App State this week for Clemson, and they will worry about Louisville Saturday night.
I don't believe that. I believe somebody in that organization is working on Louisville. They have to be. I mean, you don't have enough time after Saturday for a Thursday game on the road, so you're traveling on Wednesday. So that's a day off the work list. So you've only got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and there's a way to have people working ahead. In fact, I don't know that Clemson's employed him, but one thing Ellis Johnson is doing this year, out football is working for at least I know one.
Used him to break down film in advance of games coming up, to break down the I guess the offensive film of the upcoming opponent or
cut up with opponents down the road. Now, I know in the summer they probably did a lot of work in getting ready for Louisville, knowing they were going to be in this situation. But they've got to have some stuff going towards Louisville. I mean, I don't think they'll do it in practice this week. They won't go out and run a scout team with Louisville stuff. Not that, but somebody's breaking down film and getting some game plan stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they have people that do that every week that pre-scout and go ahead. And I still think that at some point, Brent Venables late tonight is going to throw in a little Louisville film too. Maybe not. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys really do coach game to game. And the last thing you can do is go out there and take Appalachian State for granted and have that letdown. And this is, if you wanted to look at it, you could say this game certainly has trap game tendencies coming out the opener. You were jacked up. You rolled over Wofford. You steamrolled them. Some people thought that might be at least a close game after what happened 4 years ago and the way Wofford plays, but they shut them down. Wofford didn't get a first down until late in the second quarter. They had their way. Now you have another, at least on the surface, a layup game going into a Louisville game on a Thursday night, your ACC opener. This would be an easy place to peek ahead to Louisville.
Well, I'm thinking this way, Corn. Also, with Clemson's offense, the chess match may be a little bit different. What I mean by that is, instead of trying to, beat App State and just beat them without showing all your game plan, I think they're going to trot out all the toys against App State if they can and say, okay, Louisville, look at all we got and try to stop it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, I think coming off the Wofford game, I mean, there's not much you can say about their passing game. It was almost 100% perfect. Maybe they can try to do a little bit more in the running game.
Goldman
had some nice runs, maybe a little more consistent running, especially in the short down situations. Might be something they'll try to improve on against Appalachian, and we'll be right back. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Did y'all jump in when I dropped? Seamlessly, I hope. All right, so K-Mac, you're going to go out and get USC practice then. Yeah, I guess we don't really need a Tuesday. Okay. Okay. Well, it's your call, and I look. I've always been a supporter of RT's. I don't know why. I guess maybe I feel for the guy, and I've tried to help him out any way I can because I just kind of have a soft spot for him. But yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, as long as we can get the stuff covered, somehow, some way. Anybody holding statement? Sports Talk coming to you from Seawells in Columbia, across from the fairgrounds, and evening with Sterling Sharp over here at Seawells tonight. Big out on hand. I think Clyde's done another great job bringing together a elite group of folks, and a large crowd of people to meet in person from the sports world here in South Carolina. Last year he brought Brett Favre to Columbia. He's been involved in many of the reunion events over at USC. So if you need something done, Clyde Wren is your man along the lines of getting sports figures into Columbia. 800-956-7266 is our number. Let me pass along a few other notes for you. First of all, I want to mention this story, and our hearts certainly go out to this young man. Richland School District 2, in a release today, said that defensive back Mark Mickens from Westwood, who was injured Friday night, suffered a neck injury Friday night. He's had surgery and is listed in stable condition. The story said that his mother posted on Twitter that her son's eyes are open and that he is responsive and aware. So very, very scary moment. Certainly, we hope and pray that everything turns out well for this young man. You hate for anybody to get hurt in a football game. Everett Golson out of Myrtle Beach, now at Florida State, is the offensive back of the week in the ACC. 302 yards passing against Texas State, 4 touchdowns, so a good start for him in his career at Florida State. The rankings this week, Clemson is 12th by the AP and by the coaches. The AP ranking has 10, a record 10 SEC schools, all 7 from the West in the top 25. Ohio State is number 1. Alabama, Baylor, Michigan State. Then it's Auburn, Oregon, Southern Cal, Notre Dame, Georgia. Florida State's 11, followed by Clemson, UCLA, LSU, Georgia Tech. Then it's Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Boise State. Missouri is 21, followed by Arizona, Tennessee, Utah, and my team that's going to shock the West, as I foretold at SEC Media Days, Mississippi State at number 25.
That SEC West, you talk about a gauntlet for teams. My goodness. I mean, that number 25 team in the country was picked dead last in the SEC West in the preseason.
Well, you know, I've always said that when you get these polls like this, as far as the SEC is concerned, there's your opportunity for upward mobility, especially in the West, because every week, at least in the first few weeks, you're going to play a team that's in the top 25. It's not like you're playing an unranked team and you may lose some points for doing that. And so it's interesting how that whole division is set up, at least for now, because you know there's going to be some attrition. But for now, every time you play an opponent in that division, you'll be playing a ranked team.
No doubt about it. Let's see what else can we mention here very quickly. SEC announced today that their title game will be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta through 2026. That starts in 2017. They'll be at the Georgia Dome in 16 and 17.
Steve Spurrier is up next here on
Sports Talk. I made a mistake on my cast. That's not a dome, that Mercedes-Benz Stadium is. It's not a dome. I think I caught it. Oh, okay. Then I didn't make a mistake. But they're not calling it the Mercedes-Benz Dome. They're calling it the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Oh, you're right. You're right. Who's that, Clemson? Well, they were playing Wofford. You're not going to get me. You don't get any love for beating Wofford. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Talking Tuesday. Let's get to the first coach of the evening. That will be Steve Spurrier from USC. The Gamecocks have their SEC opener coming up Saturday night, 7:39 or so will be the kickoff on the SEC network. Of course, the Wildcats rallied to knock off the Gamecocks in Lexington last year, and that was something that kind of haunted the Gamecocks all season long. You know, they're ready to get their revenge. Can they do it? They'll have to play better. Here is Spurrier.
Kentucky, good team, pretty good team. They barely missed being bowl eligible last year. I think they were 5-1 and lost their last 6 games. So they are very capable of having winning season, going to bowl games, and so forth. Mark Stoops, I think, has done an excellent job there, and they're very close to being a winning team, and very easily could be this year. They beat Louisiana Lafayette, I think, last week. Scored a lot of points, 40-33, and we got to be ready to play very well. Hopefully we can make a lot of improvement. That's probably what we need to worry about, see if we can line up and get the ball snapped, eliminate some careless penalties, and try to look like a pretty good team when we go out here Saturday night. Looking forward to a big home crowd, first home game of the season. A lot of our players have never played here, so it'll be a wonderful experience playing in front of our crowd. So we're looking forward to it. TV game, as all of them just about are. So 7 o'clock, hopefully the weather, 7:30 now, okay? 7:30 or 7:39, I heard it could also be. So we're looking forward to seeing if we can play much better this Saturday night.
Steve, you guys were kind of banged up coming out of the UNC game. How is Connor's health and some of the other guys that were hurt?
I think a lot of the guys are getting back healthy. I believe Connor Mitch is scheduled to practice today. Terry Guger, Debo Samuels can practice a bit from what our trainer Clint Haggard tells us. So most of the guys are pretty healthy. The only serious injury occurred in practice again when one of the D linemen fell into Cody Waldrop's leg and cracked the bone right above his ankle there. So he'll be out for some time.
Steve, do you script plays to begin a game? Are you one of those guys?
No, we haven't done that, but we will have a play ready this week. We will have a play ready this week. I told the guys yesterday, well, we had a play. We told them in the locker room. But what happened, we went out there, and North Carolina was not out there yet. So our guys just stood around and waited, and the clock was running down. We're trying to yell over on the sideline. I don't think anybody could hear us much. For such a small crowd, it seemed to be loud in there. I don't know. We had to pick up our foot to snap the ball instead of the quarterback yelling from the shotgun. So anyway, we waited and waited and waited and got to delay a game on the opening play of the season. I don't know if that's ever happened before, but we managed to do that. So hopefully we will have a couple of plays ready to go early this week.
In terms of how you call a game, how much of it do you have in your mind prior to the game, and how much of it evolves as you see the way you're?
Well, everybody has a game plan, and then you stay flexible and go from there. So and try to find out what's working, what's not working.
Do you have the sense that you adjust on the fly more than most coaches these days?
I think most coaches adjust according to the score, according to how you're doing, and so forth. You know, one of those guys said that little sweep around right end seemed to work pretty well, the one Sean Carson scored on. I said, yeah, and then we started running it over and over, and it was also a key play that Brandon Wiles ran 10 or 12 yards to help run out the clock there at the end of the game. So most coaches always, if something's working, you try to do it over and over until the other team stops it. And then you got a list of ball plays. You hope to use your game plan.
Steve-O, with 3 running backs like you have, is it by design to kind of have one fresh for the fourth quarter like Sean was last week, or is that just the way it worked out?
I think it just worked out that way. And then Sean had several good runs. And then, of course, Brandon came in there at the end and had several good ones also. David struggled a little bit, dropping a couple of passes that normally he catches. But he's good back, and Kentucky, they've given up some rush yards, as everybody knows. We have to try to mix it up, just like we tried to do last week, and hopefully our pass game will be a lot better than last week. So we're working on it. We'll work on it today.
Steve, Dylan Thompson made it in the NFL. Obviously, Connor Shaw's had a start. Meanwhile, some of the spread, fast-paced guys, Menzel, RG3, haven't done very well, and guys like Taj Boyd haven't even made it at all. Is something like that, the way you run your offensive system, something you could leverage in recruiting?
I haven't really thought about that or paid much attention to that. Dylan is he's built for a drop back passer. You know, he's about 6'3" or so, and good footwork, so forth. So I thought he certainly had a chance to make a team and eventually play in the NFL. And Connor's just a tremendous athlete that can run and throw. So I hadn't really paid a lot of attention to that. It's there's a fine line up there in NFL. Tim Tebow wins the Heisman, and so who knows? Some make it, some don't. But that's why we always try to tell our college players, you get a chance to play 4 years of eligibility, and don't throw one away by maybe jumping to the league too early. And still, many players jump early and give up that 1 year, and then they look back and wish they'd maybe played another year of college ball. But anyway, it's all individual decision and so forth. And I think sometimes quarterbacks, if they get with the right team, they're much better off than maybe a team that doesn't have a real strong offensive line, real strong running game. When quarterbacks have a lot of good players around them, they tend to have a chance to succeed. Yeah.
What do you recall thinking during the fourth quarter of the Kentucky game last year about your defense, and why do you think or maybe hope that it'll be defensively better this time around?
Well, hopefully the whole scenario, we didn't tackle very well, didn't get lined up as quickly as we'd hoped. And again, we had some injuries that hit us through the course of last year, and a lot of guys we thought would play most of the whole game were not finishing games. But we played well at times. We really did. Obviously, we didn't play well at the end of the games. I wish we'd run out the clock when we had the 1 touchdown lead, but we didn't. We had to punt, and that happened 3 games. And then some other times we ran the clock out. I mean, we play a lot of these games now. If you guys have noticed, almost every dang one of them, you guys run out the clock, or you're probably going to lose. And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Last week, we were fortunate to make 2 first downs and run out, 340, something like that. But that's just sort of where we are right now. And we're trying to get better. We need to improve. We need to improve on offense and defense. We gave up some yards, but we were tremendous in the red zone the last game. You can't depend on that happening every week. But that's just sort of the type of team we are right now. It's the winning by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't know if that's in our DNA right now.
Steve, following up with that, last week you were able to make the plays on both offense and defense to run out the clock and win the game. This week, do you feel it's necessary just to remind the team about what happened in Kentucky, or you just
no, they all know what happened. And really, I've always believed last year's game with whoever you play is history. Every game stands on its own merit. Every game stands on its own merit. We got beat last year. We got beat several times last year in a similar way, and we're trying to prevent it from happening this year.
All right, Steve Spurrier from his press conference today at USC, and all of the press conference is on our website, sportstalksc.com. Runs about 18 minutes, so take a listen if you haven't, as the rain begins to pour over here at the State Fairgrounds, and we'll be right back. Back with you on Sports Talk, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. Sterling Sharp, the man of the hour, in the house. A little bit wet, but walking by, and don't know if we're going to have a chance to get him on the show or not. If I can get Clyde Wren's attention, maybe we'll be able to grab Sterling for about 2 minutes if we have a chance. There for a second, because we're hoping to get Sterling Sharp on the program here with us in just a moment. Let's go ahead and bring Rich up and hear what he's got for us. Rich Taylor from the Midlands High School Sports Report. The captain, Kerry Rich, is here as well. Pastor Payne, Corey Miller, here as well. The beautiful people showing up. And Rich Taylor, not among the beautiful people, on the phone from Chapin, but he's got a story on Steve Davis Jr. from Dutch Fork, who recently decommitted from Auburn. Rich, what do you have on Steve Davis?
Hey, Phil. Yeah, I actually have 5 quick things for you, and we'll start with Steve Davis. If folks haven't heard by now, it's been up on our website for a couple of days. Coach Tom Knotts has decided that he would be better used on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to be the starting tailback. The plans now for the rest of the year, and he is only going to play safety, where he was offered a full ride by Auburn to play safety there. He's only going to play on third downs. That's it. And in addition to that, of course, he decommitted from Auburn over the weekend. I talked to him last night in person, and he's down to Auburn, Georgia, FSU, Clemson, and South Carolina. He said that honestly, there is no favorite. And I asked him if South Carolina was on the list just because they're the hometown team, and he said absolutely not. He said they have just as good a chance as any of those other 4. So good news for the Gamecock fans. Also out at Dutch Fork quickly, the quarterback Cole Mitchell, son of Jack, missed the game against Goose Creek a couple of weeks ago with a bum ankle. Dutch Fork has had an open date, and he is expected to be back Friday at Boiling Springs. He took all the snaps with the first team at practice yesterday. At Lexington High, all-area linebacker Trey Mitchell, he's missed the Wildcats' first 2 games with a lingering concussion. He's going to be good to go Friday at Wando, which is a huge plus for the Wildcats defense. And it's good to see Trey Mitchell back, because that concussion was really scaring Josh Stepp and that crew out there for a while, but everything's good now. Another player that hasn't played this year, Heathwood Hall's Duke commitment, Brandon Hill. He will dress and play this weekend for the first time. They play at Lawrence Manning on Friday. Brandon Hill will play defense only on the defensive side of the ball. And now the biggest news of all, and this has caught a lot of by surprise, although I don't think it's out there yet. Blake Thompson is a sophomore at Dutch Fork that Tom Knotts has called the best player on his team and a kid that will play on Sundays. Pretty strong words coming out of Tom Knotts' mouth. He plays running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and Knotts says when he plays on defense, he's as big a playmaker as he has. He was declared academically ineligible at Dutch Fork 2 weeks ago. So he has not played this season. So here's the bombshell. He will be starting on Friday, if things continue the way that they seem to be, for Ben Lippen School when they face Wilson Hall. Blake Thompson, who, again, let me be clear, Tom Knotts told me more than once that he is a kid that can play on Sundays, and that he is the best overall talent on his roster, period. He has transferred to Ben Lippen, and apparently he is scheduled to play Friday against Wilson Hall. And he by himself can be a game changer in Skeeza.
Boy, certainly sounds like it. Real quick on Stephen Davis, how quickly will he make a decision? Will he take all 5 officials, do you know?
He told me that he wants to take all of his visits. He said South Carolina may or may not be official just because it's close by. But he's going to go to Auburn unofficially, I believe, next weekend, because his father, Stephen Davis, is being honored down there at halftime. So he'll be there on an unofficial. He's going to go to Florida State for the Florida State-Miami game. He's going to Clemson, I believe, is Florida State at Clemson this year, Phil?
Yeah, in November.
Okay, then that's the game that he said he was going to at Clemson. And as far as South Carolina and Georgia, not sure about officials. But he did indicate that he wants to take all 5. Everyone's even, and then he'll make up his mind.
Okay.
Incredible to me that Stephen Davis, given that relationship that he and Steve Spurrier had with the Redskins, would ever send his son to play for Steve Spurrier. I'd be stunned.
I never even considered that idea.
Oh, it ended very badly.
Did it really?
With those two, yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. But the other interesting thing that Rich brought up is the fact that they're only going to play him almost exclusively at running back and not safety, which is what I thought he was being recruited for. Thank you, RT. The website is Midlands Sports, MidlandsHSSports.com. All right, some more recruiting for you now, following up on what Rich Taylor shared with us there just a few moments ago. Richland Northeast linebacker T.J. Brunson, who had planned to commit to USC back in March, but the Gamecocks held him off because they wanted to see how he looked this season coming off of hip surgery. Apparently, they've seen enough to be convinced he's healthy and worthy of a committable offer. He told us last night he's been informed by USC linebackers coach Kirk Botkin that he is now a take for the Gamecocks. He said that Botkin was in touch with him Friday and Saturday. He said that Botkin told him that he really wants to coach him. He would be outstanding in their scheme. Brunson had 14 tackles, 11 of them solo in the game on Friday night. Asked if the Gamecocks are ready to accept a commitment from him, Brunson responded, yes, sir. Problem is, he's currently committed to Louisville. Asked if he's ready to flip to USC, he said, not at all. I'm going to enjoy the process, take visits, see as many places as possible. USC, Louisville, and Georgia Southern are 3 places he wants to visit. He's considering going to USC, Kentucky Saturday, but a deep-sea fishing trip in North Carolina may take precedence this weekend. He's looking at an official visit to Louisville November 14th. He made an unofficial visit to Notre Dame last Saturday. He is happy to have the Gamecocks back in a position where they would take him. He said he never really cut them out. He says he's just waiting to see how everything plays out since he knows more schools are coming to see him this season. Clemson in the top 5 with defensive lineman Shavar Manuel of IMG Academy down in Florida. He also likes Florida, LSU, Florida State, and Auburn. There is no order. Clemson offered 2017 offensive lineman Isaiah Wilson of Brooklyn. He visited both schools this summer. I got a chance to meet him when he was at USC. This guy is a skyscraper. I mean, serious. He's from Brooklyn, and he looks like, he looks like a man. He's only like 16 years old, and he's already got offers from all over the country. Very highly regarded. And 2017 defensive back Tank Robinson of Lake Marion was offered by Michigan. All right, there you go with recruiting. And don't forget to check out the recruiting information, if you would, regularly on our website, sportstalksc.com. And on Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. That will take you right to all our stories. And also, we're looking at what other people are reporting. If it's USC or Clemson related or related to something in our state, we're retweeting it with the hashtag STRecruiting, and you can go right to those stories. So as we find it and see it and retweet it, you can get to it very easily via our Twitter timeline, Sports Talk SC. All right, busy first hour behind us. Coming up, hour number 2. David Shelton will be here to talk more high school football across the state with us. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney. Mike Morgan comes along to talk about a Braves victory, maybe. Another one tonight against Philadelphia. And Chip Wild from Darlington with the recap of a wonderful, wild Sunday at the Lady in Black. All of that and more in hour number 2. We will be right back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk over here at Seawells in Columbia for a night. I have the former Gamecock great and NFL star for a couple of minutes before he goes inside. How are you?
A lot of people say that.
For which part?
Phil, that's the one thing of beauty about playing in South Carolina and Green Bay.
What's that?
You're not a former or anything.
Always.
You can play for them 2 hours, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. You're always a Gamecock.
Now,
you're always a Green Bay Packer.
You know you're talking to the unabashed #1 Packer fan in the world.
Exactly, and
yeah.
I can't believe you used the word former.
Well, you're right.
Phil,
I'm
you
sorry.
Can't be like everyone else.
All-time Green Bay greats, all-time Gamecock great.
I appreciate.
We got to get you a statue out there next to George.
And I tell you what, George Rogers is one of the greatest football players I ever saw.
Yeah,
and when you do what he did, and you win the Heisman Trophy as the best college football player in the country.
Yeah.
No, he needs to stand alone. He needs to have that mantle to himself.
Didn't you come to South Carolina as a quarterback?
I did.
Whose idea was it to move you to receiver?
Joe Morrison's idea, which was a pretty good one.
It was.
Pretty good one. I was looking forward to running the triple option, but I really had a lot of fun playing in the run and shoot.
Yes.
I really
they put
did.
the ball in your hands in space, and you kind of made it happen.
It was a lot of fun playing in the run and shoot.
Wearing number 2 and the midriff jersey just kind of flowing in the back. What was your top speed?
I have no idea. I ran fast enough to never get caught. I ran 4.39 on my pro day. 4.4. I have no idea what my top is.
Yeah. Your days in Green Bay?
Lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved every single one of them. I learned so much about the process.
Yeah.
And when I say the process of, a lot of people go to schools because they're winning. And I was able to go to Green Bay and help turn that around. We were in the process of turning it around here at South Carolina when I left. And I like building. I understand the process. I don't mind being a part of the process. It was a lot of fun being a part of both of those processes, trying to change the mentality, the thought process, the attitude of the two places that I was in, Phil. It was a lot of fun being in both places. It really was.
Do you have a Super Bowl favorite in mind for this year? Allegiances aside.
Wow, it's hard until someone beats New England and until someone beats Seattle. I mean, the Green Bay Packers had Seattle beat, but they lost.
They did.
The New England Patriots, they got Tom Terrific back at quarterback now, and all the problems seem to be behind them. Until somebody can beat those two teams, it's hard to pick against them.
Have you any thoughts on that situation, Deflate Gate, the whole?
Listen to everything that Judge Doty had to say. I think it was Judge David Doty. Was it David Doty?
No,
it might not have been. I can't
remember. The Wells report.
I
remember something.
I remember. I went through, and you know what? He didn't say Tom Brady didn't do it. It basically said that you couldn't punish a guy for domestic violence and drugs, and to give him the same punishment that you were going to give Tom. So
I got to hit a quick break. If you can hang. If not, we'll let you go. But we'll be right back.
No one's called me yet.
Yeah. Okay, we're back at Seawells here in Columbia. It's a night with Sterling Sharp, and he's taking a few minutes away from the crowd to visit with us, and we really appreciate that. We had you with us. You're not going many years ago at the Super Bowl. Kevin McCrary, who's back at our studio.
Okay,
you were on with him. Where was that, K-Mac? Which Super Bowl was that?
Houston. It was the Panthers-Patriots Super Bowl.
2004.
Yeah.
January 2004.
And he did an interview with you. Unfortunately, there was a major ice storm in the state, and we were off the air, and it never made the air.
Really?
It's the greatest interview no one ever heard.
I want it back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about Lou Holtz at the time, and you didn't say a whole bunch of nice stuff about
weren't
Lou
happy.
Holtz back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't even begin to comment on that because I do not know the prefix or suffix of that.
Yeah.
So I can't even begin to. I can't expound on it.
I think things are a lot better now, Sterling. I think at the time South Carolina was still working on embracing former athletes like you. They've really improved since 2004.
Yeah.
So you say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
So I say. So it would appear from an outsider.
Do you agree with that or no?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of my friends who would like to go to games that can't.
Still.
I do know that, and I don't know whether South Carolina is working on that or not. Like I said before, Steve Spurrier and Ray Tanner have been great to me, but I also had a job where I was gone from Thursday to Monday, so I wasn't here to go to games and that kind of thing. But hopefully they'll get to a point where, all the guys that played here can have the ability to bring their kids back and, to be a part of their history, because it's a great, we got a lot of great memories here. And I'm saying just the guys living over at the Roost, and not just football players, but we got to know the swimmers and the tennis team and the track team and the golfers and, Brett Quigley and those guys and Carl Paulson are some of my best friends now, and I got to know them in the dorm. So I hope that they work it out where all the former athletes can come back. The athletes that play here can come back.
Ray's here tonight. I don't know if you're talking to him about it now, but are you in any conversation with them about doing something?
I am not, because I came here to talk about, these traumatic brain injuries and spinal injuries and getting former players back into the good graces or getting a chance to watch games at the University of South Carolina is the farthest thing from my mind right now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that if I know Ray Tanner and the kind of guy he has been to me, he is definitely working as hard as he can to make that happen.
Have you been out to the stadium at all to see the work they've done around the stadium?
I have not. Nope. I played football. And that's about the best I can do. I'm not a very good fan. And I know a lot of people may not understand that, but they always ask me, I get asked all the time, are you going to games? Are you going to the Green Bay game? Are you going to the South Carolina game?
Yeah.
And are you going to the Masters?
Yeah.
And my response is this: if they're not going to let me play, I'm not going. And I don't think they're going to let me play.
Do you watch games on television?
I do. I do. I love, I watched the Thursday night game against North Carolina. Great win there.
Yeah.
I do watch, a lot of football because just trying to stay involved and understanding what people are doing. I'm learning more and more every day about the spread offense that everybody seems to be running and having success with. So, yeah, I watch a lot of football.
Would you, if you go back to your college days, the spread offense hadn't been created really.
It's pretty much the run and shoot.
The run and shoot to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Is it pretty close?
Very close movement throws in the running shoot because we were rolling right and left. But yeah, it's pretty much 4 wide receivers spread the field, let Harold Green do his thing, and he did that pretty well. And it was great balance. And that was the one thing that, not knowing that playing, it was great balance between a running pass. We could throw to get the lead and turn it over to Harold and run to keep it.
Did you guys run much bubble screen back then?
Oh, the bubbles. I was the bubble guy. I ran a lot of bubble, which is a lot of fun because it says more about your ability.
Yeah.
Because if I can catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage and whatever I gain is pretty much on the ability to make people miss. That's the kind of offense, if you're a skill position player, that's the kind of offense you want to play.
What do you think of Clemson's offense and their group of receivers?
I tell you what, their skill guys, watching them against Wofford, I was enjoying their skill guys. They are quick. They are attack the football. If they can keep Deshaun Watson healthy, they're going to be to deal with, because the thing is I'm looking at their offense and they're going to score so many points that the running that you practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, you're not going to be able to run against that defense because you're going to be behind. And when you were one-dimensional, even though I know they lost Vic Beasley last year, was an outstanding pass rusher, they get after you. Dabo Swinney and that group have done a pretty good job up there.
What do you think of the Gamecocks this year? What do you think of Steve Spurrier, the job he's done now in year 11 overall, and then what do you think of their chances this
I can't critique Steve's job because I have no idea what the University of South Carolina was asking him to do other than win football games.
Yeah.
I know he put together a string of 11-win seasons. I know that he has some guys on offense now that a lot of us can't name. And I know that, Connor Mitch is growing at the position. And am I going to expect Connor Mitch to go out and win me 10 football games right now? I can't put that kind of pressure on him. That wouldn't be fair to him. I know he feels very strongly and confident in his ability, but I can't ask Connor Mitch to go out because I don't know how much football how comfortable he feels in this system. I don't know if the coaching staff knows Connor Mitch well enough to ask him to do certain things. I know we'd love for him to, go out and throw it for 316 yards and 2 touchdowns every week, but I just don't think that's who they are. I do know that Sean Carson, or I would say that I believe Sean Carson needs to play a little bit more on offense. I do know that if Sean Carson and Pharaoh Cooper are my 2 best players, I can have Pharaoh Cooper throw Sean Carson the football. So I definitely want the football in those 2 guys' hands. And defensively, we're going to be what we are. And what I mean by that is I'm not really sure. I keep hearing that we got a new defensive coordinator, but I keep hearing that the old defensive – so I don't know who the defensive coordinator is. To tell you the honest
It's John Hoke.
But I do know that defensively we're going to be who we are, and I think that would help us out a lot if we could score points.
Are you close with George
Rogers?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very close. How about Lattimore?
I don't know Marcus. I've never met Marcus Lattimore. Would have never met Jadeveon Clowney had it not been for I did the thing before the draft with him while he was working out in Charlotte.
Sure. You want to meet Lattimore one?
I'm sure our paths will cross. I mean, people don't understand. It's not one of those things where Marcus doesn't want to meet me or I don't want to meet him. It's just that our paths have not crossed.
Yeah.
Being involved in the National Football League for the last 20-some-odd years, when college football on Saturday, I'm usually in a studio or getting ready to go in a studio. So it doesn't leave a lot of room to hang around these former guys. And they have their time is pretty well accounted for.
What's the likelihood of USC on a Saturday for a football game getting Sterling Sharp, George Rogers, Marcus Lattimore, and maybe if he's having an off week, Jadeveon Clowney all together at the same time?
I really don't know how possible that really is because I don't know what those other guys' schedules are.
Yeah.
But I do know this, and no disrespect, and Steve Spurrier and Jerry Spurrier, his wife, can tell you how I feel about them. They're 2 of my better friends. They have been wonderful to me, and when Steve got the job here, I think I was one of his first calls. But like I said, usually I'm doing the National Football League, and when I'm not doing the National Football League, I don't know if I'm a very good fan. I don't know if I'm going to go and sit in anybody's stadium to watch anybody play.
Cheering? You don't cheer?
That's no disrespect to anybody. But if you ask anyone who knows me, Phil, I am the biggest Gamecock fan. All my relaxation clothes, I'm a Nike guy, but all my relaxation clothes are South Carolina Under Armour attire. So I love my Gamecocks, but I mean, I don't know what Marcus' schedule is. I don't know what Georgia's schedule is. Jadeveon is trying to prove that he can be a dominant player in the National Football League. I'm going to guess he's going to be busy for a while. But I mean, as great as that would sound, I have no idea how proud.
With the NFL Network any longer?
No.
Any chance you return to media work in the future?
I'm not going to say no, but you know what? My show got canceled at the last minute, Playbook on NFL Network. I understand the logistics of what happened and why it happened. And, we had one of the higher rated shows on the network, but it's one of those things that happened. And you know what? I'm extremely happy about the work I was able to do. And you know what? It's time to move on. And I tell you what, it was time to do something else playing football. I ended up at ESPN. It was time to do something else after ESPN. I ended up at NFL Network. It's time to do something else, Phil, and I'll end up wherever I end up. But I'm ready for whatever the next challenge is. If it's just me playing golf 4 out of 7 days, I'm prepared to do that too.
Call me. I'm available. I'd make a great 4th.
I'm ready to
I'd make
do that
a great
too.
4th. Thank you so much.
Phil, always a pleasure.
Man, it's great seeing you. And
yes, sir.
Enjoy your night.
We'll do. It
Thank
should
you.
be fun.
Sterling Sharp, Gamecock, all-time great. Always great. Packer, always great. All right? Not former. Always great. And we'll be right back. From Sterling Sharp to David Shelton, we go. Just a little bit of a come down, but not too much. Our high school football report on Sports Talk, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau Insurance, you could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you've received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent as we welcome our main man, David Shelton, high school sports report to a Sports Talk. Have they finally finished the games from last week?
Lord, I hope so, because there was a lot of weird decision making going on Friday night. A lot of just strange things. You know, waiting out storms 2.5 hours and playing till 2 a.m. And I just people got to get a better grip because we can't. You know, it's going to rain every Friday night. It seems like so. They got to have a better plan in place because there was a lot of mumbling going on this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you. Have a plan that, you know, after a certain hour, you can't start a game or continue a game, whatever the case may be. Or, I don't know, like Latta Dillon. Dillon's up 21-0 on Latta in the first quarter, from what I understand, and the torrential rain or the storm hit. And Latta just they're going home and, you know, take the forfeit win, and we're not going to play anymore. There's got to be some direction there for these games and these teams, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, there should be some sort of policy that says, you know, after 11 o'clock or 11:30 at night, you know, I mean, we're still talking about high school kids. And, you know, there was one report where at Union County, Spartanburg, you know, Union County didn't want to play after half or because a half hadn't been done. And the athletic director didn't know what to do. And, you know, they ended up finishing at 2:30 in the morning, and that's just not, you know, and then Swansea Chapin waited out a rain delay for a couple of hours with less than 3 minutes to go in the game. Yeah. And they came back on Saturday and played 3 minutes and played in overtime. But, you know, these non-region games, I mean, I know they're important, but, you know, for the fans and stuff, but, you know, I mean, I don't think anybody would have left Chapin Swansea just grumbled at 1 a.m. that nobody actually did finish the game.
Sure. In your mind, Friday night, Saturday, and I guess Monday, what was the big outcome, the big game of the weekend?
Well, I mean, it wasn't a huge night in terms of, you know, major matchups. I think that Swansea Chapin game ended up being the most entertaining and definitely statistics-wise, 63 to 60, I think was the final. And the Chapin quarterback, again, Logan Bailey, just had 8 touchdowns and had almost, you know, 500 and something yards of offense. It was that was a pretty entertaining game. Unfortunately, it took until, you know, Saturday at 2 o'clock to finish.
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully the weather will get better moving forward, and we won't have any more weekends like this where games are spread out over about a 4-day period, if you consider that some games weren't completed until or even started until Monday. All right, David, thank you very much. David Shelton, High School Sports Report. Read all his stuff online at hssr.com. You can also read David at the Charleston Post and Courier as well. All right, break coming up. Dabo Sweeney right around the corner here on Sports Talk. back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from Seawells. Enjoyed having Sterling Sharp with us tonight. Hope all fans in the state enjoyed hearing what he had to say. You know, all South Carolina football fans, South Carolina, can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location on USC's campus and a Clemson office coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit Relax, join founders.com to see if you qualify for membership. All right, heard from Steve Spurrier earlier now that Dabo Swinney came back. You were up there to hear what the Tigers head coach had to say.
Yes, I was, as Clemson turns a page from Wofford to Appalachian State, and Dabo Swinney says just because this is a Sun Belt team and not a Power 5 opponent doesn't mean the Tigers can take them lightly.
You know, we're, again, proud of the start that we got off to last week. It's a really good start for us. And this is another great opportunity for us to be at home and, hopefully continue to grow our football team. App State, very impressed with their team. Very impressed with the team, the success that they've had, the run that they're on right now is really impressive. And I think the biggest thing that jumps out at me when I watch them on both sides is they're very well coached. I mean, they know what they're doing. Very sound in what they do on both sides of the ball. Right now they got the 5th longest winning streak in the country, and with 7 wins in a row. And, one of the things I always, talk to our team about, we talk about celebrating wins. It's hard to win a game. People really don't have an understanding of just how hard it is to win. And, that just goes to show you. They got the 5th longest winning streak in the country with 7 wins. And I think Tim told me yesterday we got the 9th longest winning streak with 4 wins in a row, which ain't many. So that just is some perspective on how hard it is to win a football game, and especially to consistently win week in and week out. And, I don't care who you play in. It's hard to do that. And so, these guys have been impressive. And the biggest thing, is just their personnel. I mean, they list 19 starters back, but they really got more than that. They got several guys that have started for them that are listed as backups. They just got a lot of guys that have played a lot of ball, and with that comes confidence. And then you get on a run like they're on. So this is a football team that I think, we're going to have to show up and really play to the level that we're capable of playing. They have our full attention. I can assure you that. Offensively, as I said earlier, they know what they're doing. They're led by the quarterback, Bobby Lamb's boy, and when you watch, when you watch Bobby Lamb, when you watch the Lamb kid play, you can tell he's a coach's son. I mean, he just has a savviness to him, instincts. He's got great pocket presence and knows what he's doing, knows where everybody is on the field, and just a great understanding of their scheme. Good athlete. Their offensive line, all four of the 5 are back. They're tough. They're physical. They're scrappy. They do a good job of cutting the defense in half, getting guys on the ground, especially on the backside on plays away. Tight end, they use him as a fullback a lot. They'll get, they like to create a 2-back lead zone type of deal. Also use him on some counter type stuff. He's a good player, good pass receiver also. And then very impressed with their wideouts. This is a bunch that our DBs better be ready, because these guys are scrappy. They flat get after you. They do a great job of cutting guys downfield. And I think that's something that, our DBs are going to have to really be, ready for this week, because these guys are definitely going to get after them. And they play with tempo, so the discipline that we have to, use, getting the calls in, getting lined up. Obviously, we practice against tempo every day, so hopefully that's not that big a deal for us, but it is something that we got to be ready for. Their defense, they got 9 starters back. We do have good carryover from what we saw with Wofford last week as far as their scheme and what they do. A lot of odd front, Okie defense, Sam and Will fire, and a lot of quarter half, but the difference is we're dealing with different athletes at App. This is a very athletic bunch. They got They got some guys that could play here at Clemson. And, you know, so as a result, a lot more pressure. You know, last week we didn't see hardly any pressure. This week there'll be a lot of pressure, a lot of blitzing. They've shown a lot of cover zero on tape. And so that's something that we got to do a good job of because we're going to have more twists and things that we're going to have to pick up, zone stoppers up front, and just, again, being able to have everybody on the same page so we don't get our quarterback hit because they will bring more than you can block. And when people bring more than you can block, then you got to, you know, again, your sights, your hots, the way we flip the protections, Deshaun's got to be sharp and knowing who's coming free. So it's just a different challenge for us this week. You know, all in all, really impressed with their guys up front. Again, a bunch of guys. They got 49, I think, has started about 40 games for him. He's played a lot of football. He's a really, really good football player. He and 40, two very, very active guys in this 3-4 front that they play, and they got speed in the secondary. So this is a good football team. I mean, and it's when you watch them, it's really easy to see why they've had the success that they've had. And each week, as they've gone on this run, you see their confidence has grown. So, you know, I think this is a really tough challenge for us, and we're excited to be back at Valley. Appreciate the crowd we had last week, and hope everybody will show up again this week with the same type of fervor, because we certainly feel like that Death Valley is a great advantage for us each and every week, and we look forward to playing there again. Biggest thing for me, I'm just looking for consistency. And we played one game, and it was a good first game as far as, you know, just getting out of the gate and the execution that we had, especially with our first groups, and being able to accomplish some of the goals that we had set going into that game. But for me, I also want to see some consistency, you know, in our performance. Can we, you know, get on a little bit of a roll here as far as individual guys playing at a high level and not seeing guys kind of be up and down from week to week. I really want to see that type of development with our guys as we move forward. Injury-wise, you know, everybody is back with the exception of Mike Williams. Obviously, he won't be with us, but everybody else will be back in practice today, and Seckinger practiced yesterday, so we expect him to be with us as well. So only two guys right now that are out are Mike and then Corinne. So with that, I'll take the questions.
I use the term jolt because I don't know another way to put it, but as a coach, when you see something happen like what happened to Mike last weekend, can you describe that, I guess, the jolt from going from being so focused on the game to what is a very serious situation?
Well, you know, I knew it was pretty serious, you know, just, you know, by the reaction of our medical team. So, you know, I went out there, but I knew he was okay. When I got out there, you know, he was moving everything. He was talking. In fact, he really wanted to get up and walk off, but you know, where he was hurting. I mean, they did a great job, and so he's very fortunate, very lucky, and you know, he's going to heal up nice, and you know, I have no idea when he'll play football again, but he'll have opportunity to play football again. It's just a situation where he's got to heal. But he's lucky, and it's just a reminder. It's a violent game. It's a tough game, and injuries are a part of it. Always have been, always will be. Injuries are a part of every sport. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, baseball or basketball or whatever. I mean, it's just when you compete, you know, there's always a chance you can get hurt.
All right, Dabo Swinney from earlier today at his presser up at Clemson. The complete news conference with Dabo Swinney plus comments from defensive coordinator Brent Venables up on the website, sportstalksc.com. Check it out. When we come back, Chris Weil from Darlington joins us to talk about a terrific night at the Lady in Black on Sunday. right, time to welcome in Chip Weil of Darlington to Sports Talk on this Tuesday night. I guess he's got his head together and has regained his strength after what had to be an incredibly hectic week and a crazy weekend. Chip, how you doing?
Man, I'm here. I'm making it.
Is the brain functioning?
Barely. It doesn't function well on a regular basis. So after a race, it's probably at 3%. So, man, we're worn out. It was an incredible weekend at Darlington Raceway. I just can't say enough about the job that my team did and the effort we put in, and the result was simply incredible. And, the fact that everybody in the sport got involved and participated in this retro throwback thing was pretty incredible. And, it's been fun to read a lot of the articles leading into the race and then after the race about how special it was and how we recognized how we all got here together. It's been really rewarding. And I can't say enough about my team at Darlington and the things that we've been able to accomplish together.
Yeah, you guys did a fabulous job. The returns have been all positive. 8.8 million, almost 8.9 million viewers on NBC Sunday night. That won the night. The announcers were fantastic. Bringing back some of the old crew to do some of the play-by-play was incredible. And the racing, I mean, hey, it's Darlington, caution periods, 18 of them, a long race, unpredictability. It all came together.
Yeah, Darlington is hard to win, and having that many cautions and that low new downforce package really made for an exciting night of racing. The leader didn't ever pull away. Seemed like the leader at some of these races they get out in front and clean air and they take off and check out, but certainly tires played a huge role in the winter. And just all the way through the field, people were racing their guts out for every position on the racetrack. And that's what NASCAR wants. That's how it got here, and to see it all kind of come together and the product be fantastic, the celebration of the Hall of Famers and the history of our sport. It just certainly was a magical evening. And I think it's something that everybody, we've been talking about it for so long, Phil. I've been talking about it for you for over a year. It's for people in the industry and throughout the world to finally be able to see the product that we're trying to do and really see it come to life. I think it's just made it that much more rewarding, and people are already talking about, hey, what are y'all going to do next year? Darlington deserves all of this credit and all this attention because it is such a special racetrack. It means so much to win the Bojangles Southern 500, and for it to finally get the attention it deserves is incredible.
I tell you what stood out to me, just in capsule form, having grown up in South Carolina and the race all those years on Labor Day weekend, having it back on Labor Day weekend, it seemed like the big event that it really used to be all those years, an event where the whole state sort of tuned in and got behind it and wanted to know who's winning at Dark. Kind of seemed that way to me on Sunday night. Big event with great status around the state.
Right, absolutely. Governor Haley was at the race in her Sunday when the race was going on, and she said the same thing. It just feels more than a race here. It's an event. Yeah. And we brought back the Southern 500 parade on Saturday night, and the city took a chance on us with bringing this back, and the response was overwhelming. So we had all the local folks kind of lined the first quarter or first three-quarter, first third of the event. We crossed over the bypass, and then coming down into the racetrack, the second third was all race fans who were camping around the area. And then we went through the turn 3 tunnel and came up into the infield. And holy cow! I mean, and then we had a marching band leading the field, and I mean the people just went crazy. They were camping in our infield about the Southern 500 parade, and that was such a big part of the weekend, and it's very nostalgic to bring it back and people to support it. It just and that was just one of 1,000 stories on how the Southern 500 weekend is so special. And for us to be able to bring back some of these elements to help, again, elevate the status of the weekend is just truly an honor. It really is an honor.
And you nailed the flyover once again.
Yeah. And the cool thing about that was a Boeing C-17 made in South Carolina. So it worked perfect. Tanya Tucker killed the national anthem. She just did a fantastic job. One of the things people don't know is Mr. Harold King, he gave us the invocation. He did the invocation at the Bojangles Southern 500 for about 30 years. And about 10 years ago, he just decided, you know what, I'm going to pack up. And he's a Darlington native. And I asked him personally about, 4 months ago to do it. And he was very reluctant. But it was, standing on pit road listening to Mr. Prayer was it just brought back so many feelings. And I think it touched a lot of people.
All right, Chip, we got to hit a break. Thank you, my man. We'll be right back. Now, before I forget, which I always forget something in the program, I want to thank our good friends here at Seawells. Saw Cal Sewell, saw Corey Sewell.